Metal Monthly, Metal Monthly, Metal, New Metal, Metal, no new metal. Howdy, Banger fans. Blayne Smith welcoming you to another Metal Monthly. Banger's monthly look at what's coming out in metal releases. Nice. As always, thanks for coming out. If you want to support us, you can head over to our Patreon campaign, toss us a couple bucks, and then that way we can just talk to you and you don't have to hear about a VPN here. Although I do recommend you have a VPN. I'm just not going to recommend a VPN. Anyways, and hey, if you like me, you can head over to twitch.tv/metalcomedy and check me out. I research this video on there. I play video games. We have a lot of fun. Please come out. So as always, I run through a list of the big albums coming out that you might want to keep an eye out for before we get onto my top 5 picks. So June 4th, we have Atreyu releasing Baptize on Spinefarm. We've got Flotsam and Jetsam releasing Blood in the Water on AFM. Hans Grossman is releasing To Where the Light Retreats. That's an independent release. Red Fang is releasing Arrows on Relapse. Sojourner is releasing Perennial on Napalm. June 11th, AFI is releasing Bodies on Rise. Crypta is releasing Echoes of the Soul on Napalm. Green Jelly is releasing Garbage Band Kids on Cleopatra. We've got Witchcross releasing Angel of Death on High Roller. June 18th, we have Bosk releasing Migration on Deathwish. We have Fear Factory releasing Aggression Continuum on Nuclear Blast. We have Halloween releasing Halloween on Nuclear Blast. June 25th, we have The Absence releasing Coffinized on M Theory. Hey, you might have remembered that. DK shouted them out, so that's one you probably definitely want to check out. And what you should also definitely check out is Mike Leon Shreds on Twitch. Mike Leon from The Absence is on Twitch, and he has a great channel. We've also got Amon Ra releasing Die Dorn on Relapse. We've got Dark Throne releasing Eternal Hails, Dark Throne on Peaceville, of course. We've got Pestilence releasing Excidium on Agonia, and we have Withered releasing Verlorian on Season of Mist. At least I get the Season of Mist right now. Remember when we used to say Seasons of Mist? So that's what's coming out. That's the big releases. Now let's get over to the best of the underground according to this guy. So up first, we have a band that clearly stole their logo from me. It is Eremit with Bearer of Many Names, one of those names obviously being Logo Thief. And it comes out on Transcending Obscurity, June 11th. But let's listen to these Logo Thieves right now. This is some German doom, cover art by De God Marius Lewandowski. We've also got a layout by T.G. Rantanen. I normally don't mention the layout artist because, sorry, but but in this case, they did some work, so thumbs up. I imagine that's going to tie into the 400-page book that this band's releasing with their album, because they're also doing that. I mentioned it in one video, and now we got books coming out the wazoo. But what does the record sound like? Well, this record is sort of the story of like 3 bands. It's a doom record, and when you press play, it'll immediately sound very Bell Witchy, which is great because we all love Bell Witch. But over the course of the 1 hour and 6-minute 3-song runtime, and saying that out loud, that also sounds very Bell Witchy. You will also hear doom from the entire other side of the spectrum, in that there's some doom that sounds very Sleep-esque here, and then when you get to the vocals mostly, but also a little bit in the drums sometimes, it sounds a lot like a black metal band. I don't mention a black metal band because who cares? All black metal bands sound the same. Just think of one. And so if you like any one of those 3 things I mentioned, you'll enjoy this record. But if you like all 3 of those things, you're very much going to enjoy this record, and you're going to be a very happy person. So buy it. Up next, we've got Cerebral Rot, with Excretion of Mortality. God, on $20 spin. It comes out June 25th, but prepare to be very grossed out. So this is some death metal out of Seattle, and it's gross. And it's been 2 years since Cerebral Rot's last gross record with a gross cover, and now they're back with a grosser record with an even grosser cover. Good job, Karina Monzon. That thing's gross. Wow. So we now have a more appropriate sample size, 2 records. And I'm going to say this. Out of all the Tomb Mold-esque old school death metal revival bands, Cerebral Rot is the most interesting. And I think I can prove that by having you sit down and listen to these 2 records back to back. This is a band that is very gross. But unlike a lot of the other gross bands in this category, it's still widely listenable by people who enjoy death metal on a whole, not a weird small subcategory of perverts. It crosses almost over into Death Doom with never quite crossing over into Death Doom. It really toes that line. I would still call it death metal all throughout, but fans of very death metal-y Death Doom will be ecstatic. While a lot of bands like this have very wild solos, these solos are much wilder, and while those bands' solos tend to sound like a bunch of power tools scraping together, this sounds like a bunch of surgical equipment scraping together, which really fits the grossness I was talking about to make the record even grosser. It's very gross. If you like gross, great. All right, that was gross. So let's get the gross out of our mouth with Heavy Temples, Lupi Amoris on Magnetic Eye Records. It comes out June 18th. So this is some Philadelphia psychedelic doom, and this would probably have been the palate cleanser, but we needed 2 palate cleansers after that gross record back there. So I'm sorry I don't know who the cover artist is, but you're very good at your job. This looks great. I love this cover. And what's inside is sort of that Kylesa-esque doom that got really popular in the 2000s, and then the genre stagnated a little bit. It so much sounds like that I definitely get a hit of nostalgia, but I'm also happy because it sounds like progression of the genre, and it has enough to stand out and stand on its own, and I enjoy that because I really enjoyed that music, and I thought it was a shame that it kind of has decreased. So here's a great record to add to that. What makes this record really great, but also not sound totally like those records, is the vocals, which sound very Christian Mistress-esque, but with the blues knob just cranked way up, and some nice bluesy vocals on top of some psychedelic doom is some great, hey, weed's legal, have a party kind of time, and that's what you should do. Smoke some marijuana if it's legal where you live, and get this record. Up next, we've just got more death metal because, I don't know, man, I'm black metaled out, so screw it. 2 death metal records. It's Eye of Purgatory, The Lighthouse. We're also double dipping on Transcending Obscurity, but who can blame us with the content they're cranking out? June 5th is when we get it. Right now is when we're going to listen to it.
Go
So unlike the Gross record, this is Swedish death metal of the very sweetest variety, which means it's very clean because it's Swedish. We've got cover art by Juano Castellano, a veteran of this here program. And at first I saw the artwork small and I hated it. And then I made it big and I realized it wasn't done on a computer and I liked it because it was done the way it should be. I am a Raga Johansson fan. I wouldn't say...
I celebrate the guy's entire catalog.
And the only reason I wouldn't say that is because I haven't heard the entire guy's catalog because, oh my God, look at all that. Who has time? How would I possibly listen to? Oh. So what I do is I just listen to it as it comes out. And this is my favorite I've heard of his in a while. And that's saying something because, again, look at how much comes. So what makes Raga special? Well, Raga is able to write pretty airtight, perfect Swedish death metal. If you like the way Swedish death metal sounds, this guy can really, really do it. And sometimes he's not on as much as others because, again, look at how much he made. But this time, boy, it is on. If you like that sound, there is so much in here that just, oh my God, it sounds so good. It just sounds so good. Oh, it's just... And then, as a nice little added bonus, there are keyboards, which is not normally a nice added bonus. Normally, it's a crime. But these keyboards are very low in the mix. They're 80s spooky vibe, and they're used sparingly. And I actually like them. So if Keyboard Bigot likes them, that probably means you'll like them too, whether you're a keyboard bigot or not. So that adds up to a record that you should buy, I think. Thus, that brings us to our palette cleanse, part 2 of the month, with Starlight Rituals sealed in Starlight on Temple of Mystery Records. It comes out June 2nd. So we've got some art by Chris Underheimer that works really well with the logo. I dig that. Now that I think about it, that might be because they hired a good layout artist. So I guess I do care about you guys. Sorry. So yeah, just like the Spectral Wound album out of Montreal last month was the black metal, this is that to heavy metal, which is to say it's some very meat and potatoes heavy metal, but that meat would be a very expensive beef and the potatoes would be some of those fancy heirloom ones that are weird colors. And it is really good, as to be expected. So if you like riffs, there's mountains, piles, riffs just lying around, riffs that barely used that could have been a whole song. And then they have an 8-minute long song on here that starts slow and is fairly slow, and I like it, which I think is almost an impossible feat for heavy metal bands to pull off. So that's a real, whoosh, whoosh of the hat. And finally, this is all really supported by the fact that their vocalist, Damien Ritual, is so wildly good that everything's going to sound good when he's singing over top of it. He's like total Dio-style wild awesomeness. It's amazing. If you like a vocals that can go, whoa, 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 it's here. And that's all that's here. Thanks for coming out. This has been Metal Monthly. My battery's so close to dying. So what do we got? We got a Patreon. We've got a YouTube. Subscribe. I've got a merch store. We've got a merch store. I have a Twitch channel. And thank you. Goodbye.